When everyone finally sees the bully's true colors, when a workplace bully is finally exposed, the emotional aftermath can still be complicated for the person who was targeted. When everyone finally sees the bully's true colors, the victim may expect relief, fairness, and closure. Sometimes that happens. But in workplace bullying, another painful pattern can appear. People who once doubted the victim may later feel sorry for the bully, especially after the bully faces consequences. This does not mean the victim imagined the bullying. It means people often react to what is most visible now. The bully's job loss, embarrassment, or isolation can become visible, while the victim's long months of stress, self-doubt, and recovery are less obvious. Compassion for someone who faced consequences should not turn into rewriting what they did. You can refuse revenge and still remember reality accurately. Why workplace bullying is hard for others to see. Workplace bullying is often a pattern, not one dramatic moment. It can involve small put-downs, exclusion, shifting stories, private intimidation, public politeness, and quiet attempts to damage someone's credibility. The person being targeted sees the whole pattern. Bystanders may only see fragments. That is why victims can sound as if they are over-explaining. They are not only describing one comment, they are trying to show why that comment matters after everything that happened before it. If listeners judge each incident separately, they may miss the pattern and explain the behavior away as stress, misunderstanding, or a personality clash. If you need to describe a difficult pattern, it helps to separate facts from interpretation. This is similar to the skill of describing what you witnessed clearly. Name what happened, when it happened, who was present, and what changed afterwards. When the bully is exposed, bystanders may feel uncomfortable. Once the truth becomes visible, some people have to face their own earlier reactions. They may remember that they dismissed the victim, laughed along, stayed neutral, or told the target to stop taking things personally. That can be uncomfortable. A healthy response would be, "I should have listened more carefully." A defensive response is softer. "Maybe it was not that bad at first." The second response protects the bystander from guilt, but it can make the victim feel doubted all over again. Direct answer: when a bully is finally exposed, sympathy can turn against the victim because bystanders react to the bully's visible consequences, feel guilty about not noticing earlier, or want the situation to feel less serious than it was. Why sympathy can move back towards the bully. The bully's suffering may become concrete. They lost their job. Their reputation changed. They look embarrassed. They may have family responsibilities, money problems, or a difficult future. These are visible consequences, so people respond emotionally. The victim's suffering may be less visible by then. The bullying has stopped, but the effects may remain in sleep problems, anxiety, distrust, damaged confidence, fear of future workplaces, or a habit of defending yourself before anyone has accused you. This is the confusing part. People can feel sorry for the bully without deciding that the bully was innocent. The problem starts when sympathy becomes revision. "I feel sorry for them," slowly becomes maybe they were treated too harshly, and then maybe it was not really that serious. Victims sometimes start blaming themselves after a bully faces consequences. They may think, "Did I ruin their career?" Or, "Was it my fault they lost their job?" A clearer distinction is this: you reported behavior that affected you. Other people reviewed the evidence and made their own decision. That is different from saying, "I got them fired." The first sentence keeps responsibility in the right places. The second sentence puts the full weight of another adult's choices onto the person who was harmed. What to say when people finally understand? After being doubted, it is understandable to want to say, "See, I told you." But at work, that can make you sound as if you are celebrating someone else's downfall. A calmer response protects your reputation and helps you move forward. "I'm glad the situation is clearer now. I would rather focus on moving forward. It was a difficult experience, but I am pleased it has been addressed. I do not want to celebrate what happened to anyone. I am just glad the behavior was taken seriously. I understand why people may feel sorry for them now. I still hope we can recognize that what happened was not acceptable." These responses do not deny your experience. They simply avoid reopening a conflict that has already been dealt with. If a question makes you feel defensive, practice the same pause used in calm defensive moments. Slow down, answer only what is needed, and keep your future self in mind. Talk about it when it helps, not when it keeps you trapped. Talking about workplace bullying can be healthy. It can help you process what happened, get support, recognize patterns, or protect someone else. The issue is not speaking. The issue is when speaking becomes repetitive rumination, replaying the same evidence, checking whether people still agree, and mentally returning to the same office again and again. Before you discuss it again, ask what the conversation is doing for you. Am I sharing this because I need support, or because I'm checking whether people still agree with me? Will this conversation help me understand something new, or will it replay the same hurt? Am I warning someone about a current risk, or am I trying to keep the old case alive? What would help me feel steady after this conversation ends? If the conversation gives support or clarity, it may be useful. If it only reactivates the old stress, it may be time to step back. Do not make colleagues the permanent judges of your experience. Being believed can feel powerful when you have been dismissed. But if your recovery depends on everyone continuing to agree with you, their changing emotions gain too much power. One person may support you today and feel sorry for the bully 6 months later. That doesn't change what happened. Colleagues can be witnesses, they can apologize, they can learn from what they missed. But they do not need to become a permanent jury that decides whether your experience remains valid. Related articles: How to be direct without becoming rude, How to speak to ruthless people without escalating, and How assumptions can push people away. A simple way to return yourself to the present. If the subject comes up and you feel as if you are back inside the old conflict, use a short grounding phrase. The point is not to erase the memory. The point is to remind your mind that remembering something is not the same as living through it again. That happened then. I am safe now. I do not need to solve that conversation again. Other people's sympathy does not rewrite what happened. I can learn from this without carrying it into every new room. How Spekero can help you practice. Spekero can help you practice talking about difficult workplace experiences without sounding defensive, bitter, or unclear. Record a short answer to this prompt. What happened? What was done about it? And what am I choosing to focus on now? Then listen back for pace, clarity, filler words, and whether your words keep you in the past or bring you back to the present. You can also practice a calm closing sentence. For example, it was difficult, but it has been addressed, and I am focusing on moving forward. A sentence like that protects your dignity without turning the conversation into another argument. Final thought. When everyone finally sees the bully's true colors, you may not get the clean ending you imagined. Some people may apologize. Some may stay quiet. Some may later feel sorry for the bully. Let them have their feelings. You do not need everyone to stay angry for your experience to be real. A stronger ending is quieter. What happened was real, it was dealt with, you learned from it, and you do not need to carry that person into every new chapter of your life. Practice with Spekero. Record a 60-second response about a difficult workplace situation. Aim for calm wording, clear structure, and a final sentence that moves the conversation forward.